What's going on, guys? And welcome to Rabbit's Used Cars. You know, 2021 has been a real hodgepodge of a year. You know, I don't want to say it was a bad year, but we had a lot of, I don't want to say tragedies, but we had a lot of deaths. We had a lot of sad times. We had a lot of good, too, come out to 2021, and you're going to hear about a lot of that coming up. You know, we're winding this down. This is one of the last days of the year. When you do these stories, you got to be really careful to protect the innocent and the guilty sometimes. So you kind of have to let things kind of die down a little bit and things like that. And so, you know, I have met some really interesting people. And when I say interesting people, you know, I'm not talking about celebrities or porn stars or athletes or something like that, or you know, politicians or whatever. Like, just interesting people. And I've seen guys like this in movies. A legit, straight up con man that could rob you blind at any second, but doesn't. But makes it very clear that he can't. And it always intrigued me talking to this guy. And I've known him for years. He actually passed away at the tail end, about this time, 2020. So I kind of went a little distance here, and I'm going to keep the details a little vague. I don't want people putting too much stuff together. But it made me laugh. And you know, it's funny, like I said, the littlest things will spark a memory. I was actually unlocking the gates this morning. I get the keys out, and, you know, unlocking the lock, and it was kind of stuck. I finally got it unlocked, and it made me think about my buddy. Let me stop this story to go back a little further and tell you another story of how I met this fellow back in my eBay outlaw days. You know, I sold cars for several car lots all over here in upstate South Carolina. And everything was going good. And you got to think, most of your little car lots, most of them had one or two salesmen. And you had like the little do-it-all cleanup guy. That was your runaround. You know, they kind of did everything. You know, he worked on the building, you know, he cleaned up cars, or, you know, if you went to the auction, you helped drive cars back, he just kind of did it all. The jack of all trades. Usually these guys, a little rough around the edges, you know, probably wasn't the best paying job in the world. You know, they kind of always had like a 5 o'clock shadow beard thing going, kind of like Matt, and kind of basically like Matt. They just look rough. You know, like I said, I worked for several of these little car lots. So I got to know these guys. You know, I was there every week at these car lots. Well, there's one in particular that I worked for who was a very shady guy. So his little jack of all trades was a shady too. It was funny. You know me, I can talk to anybody. You know, I like bullshitting, like breathing. But this guy in particular was hilarious because, like, he really wouldn't tell you about his past. He would just give you little tidbits. And he would do things that normal people shouldn't be able to do. And he would with you. You gotta think I was going around to these car lots. And, you know, of course, all the cars are locked up. You know, they got the keys in the lockbox in the office, you know, and, well, hey, I want to sell this one, and this one. All right, well, I need the keys to the Monte Carlo, the keys to the whatever. Insert POS here. And I would walk out there, and he'd have, like, let's say when they're looking for the keys, they were always rustling. It always blew my mind how car lots can't keep up with keys. You know, you got your little tags, you know, and everything's hanging. They're always, oh, hell, what do we do with the keys? That thing, I think they're at Terry's desk or this. So you're waiting. This guy at this particular car lot, I'd walk over, and I tried the door. It was locked. Walk in the office, I'd walk back out, it'd be unlocked. Time I had the key, it was unlocked. And he just had that little shit-eating grin on his face. Well, you know, I did my thing, and then the next week I'd come back, and, you know, he'd be doing something shady as hell, whatever, you know, and always wore a gold Rolex. I'm 98% sure it's fake, but it was just this gold, cheesy, had a diamond bezel Rolex. And this guy was a rough-looking character. I mean, this thing stuck out like a turd in a punch bowl on him, you know? I mean, just literally was like a diamond in the middle of a goat's ass. This watch on this guy. But hey, teach their own. He's making a statement. It got my attention, so I guess it worked. You know what I mean? And like I said, we got to be buddies a little bit and chumming around and talking and whatnot. And I said, do you unlock that car? He goes, yeah. I said, well, you got a spare set of keys? He said, I don't need a key. He said, I can open anything. Whatever. But then it's kind of like watching a magic trick. And I don't know how you guys are, but when I see someone do a magic trick, I'm trying to figure out how they did it. You know, where's the cables? Where's the wires? You know, where's the whatever? So you get talking to him. And, you know, there's a few times he would kind of let me behind the curtain. And it was so funny, you know, he'd pull his wallet out. He had this old like leather wallet. He'd pull his wallet out of his back pocket, just pull out a little, it's a little itty bitty file. And it's been, you know, cut off. And just open anything you want. I said, damn, it's a pretty handy little job trait you got there, skill set. He goes, yeah, he says, I did a little time for that one. At least I'm pretty good at it. And I said, see, I understand that. I mean, and you got to think in a car lot, you know, somebody locked the keys in the car, something like that. This guy, that's a good quality to have. You know, virtually you got a locksmith on duty. This guy told me some of the funniest stories, you know, and the thing is, it was one of those guys like you always like checked your wallet after you walked off from him because you kind of like made you feel uneasy, especially at first. And then after a while, you realized he was all right. He was actually a good guy. And it was so funny because he would bounce from car lot. He'd work somewhere for about a year. He'd go over here, you know, and I'm, damn, what's going on, bud, you know? Yeah, this guy paid me a little more or whatever. Always look the same. Like I said, I've never understood how a man could have a 2-day beard every time you see him, but he always did. I don't know if his razor had like 30,000 shaved off the edge of it or something. But anyway, he always kind of had that I just rolled out of bed look going. And I mean, just do the funniest things. You know, even after I got out of the eBay stuff and we lost track for a few years, he actually showed up at a car show. He had this clapped out Volkswagen Bug. I don't even really remember much about the car, but I do remember it was a Bug. It was lowered and, you know, whatever. He seen me at the car show. He said, you don't remember me? And I said, I remember that tacky ass watch. I remember exactly who you are. Still trying to figure out why it's not turning green at this point, but, you know, and he goes, how you been? You know, got the vent trailer there. Hey, what's going on? Me doing my thing at the car show. He goes, man, I'm doing good, you know. He said, I got married. I said, man, that's awesome, you know. And he had a kid with him, assuming it was his. Might have kidnapped it, hell, I don't know. You know, the vent trailer, we got the big, doors, concession doors on the trailer, but we actually have a walk-through door. And the way the trailer's made, which is by design, we can open those doors up so you can see us walking around doing our thing. But if you walk to the far end of the trailer, you really can't see in there unless you really stick your head in the trailer. And you know, it's kind of blocked off. And that's always been the VIP hiding spot for people at car shows. I mean, keep in mind, we've had Steve Saleen in there for hours and people didn't even know he was standing there. And another thing we could do with the event trailer is we could actually run it on autopilot. So I can take, you know, we have a software, you know, and everything runs off a laptop, but it's also wireless. So I can stop the music with my phone, grab a wireless mic out of my back pocket and be like, hey, da-da-da-da-da, you know? So what we would do is leave those concession doors open, you know, the lights are going and all that stuff. And we would just lock the side door of the trailer. And he see me walk in and out of the trailer a few times. And usually, you know, we'll get a show rocking and we'll hang out the trailer for a little bit and then we get tired of sitting around. So we'll put it on autopilot and not to kill the magic. You know, we're not picking out CDs or anything in there. It's all on you know, it's all basically playing off a playlist. So hell, we'll get out, just lock the door of that trailer. Hell, we'll walk around, kind of do our thing, you know, and getting paid at the car show. I bumped into Buddy a couple more times, just in passing, you know, whatever. And I walked back over to the trailer with my key in my hand. It was unlocked. I look over at him, and the car wasn't 30 feet from the trailer. He just nodded like that. I'm like, well, fast forward a few more years, bumped into him at a few more car shows, and you know, we laughed, we cut up, and you know, and one time in particular sticks out. He was sitting in the trailer this time. I let him in. He didn't let himself in. He was talking about stealing cars. You know, I think I asked him, like, where the hell did you learn this stuff? He said, my dad was a car thief. And he said, you know, I took over the family business, per se. And he said, I did a little time for that. I got put in time out. I said, really? I said, for how long? He said, long enough. I realized that wasn't the way, but he said, you know, it is what it is, and everything's working out. And it tickled me because I asked him what his job was now. He said, you'll never believe it. He said, I'm a security guard. And I'm like, hey, it is what it is. And so we laughed about that for a little bit. But so we got talking about stealing cars. I said, stole cars. I mean, just stuff like that intrigues the hell out of me. You know, I don't have the conscience to steal something, but I love hearing these stories. You know, I mean, I would feel so guilty. It would drive me insane. But I love hearing the mindset of other people and the things they do. So anyway, we're sitting in a trailer. I'm getting off track because I'm just sitting here laughing about this next line. You know, everybody's worried about, you know, their car, you know, where to park it and this stuff and, you know, lock it up tight. He goes, there's no lock in the world that will keep a thief out. You know that. A lock keeps an honest man honest. And I've heard that before. And he goes, and I said, yeah, but I said, you don't want to get one in the front. He said, why? I said, are you parking under a light somewhere? I said, people will see. He said, if you're good, they'll never know. And he said, I'll be honest with you, I like the cars that were parked under like parking lot lights. And I said, what are you talking about? Why'd you like that? Were you just showing off or something? He goes, hell no. I said, have you ever tried to work in the dark? Sucks. Hell, they're making it easy on me. He said, now I can see what I'm doing. And we laughed, you know, and I always thought that was just always funny. But well, anyway, fast forward a few more years and, you know, and word of mouth and all this stuff. I had a buddy come up to me. He said, can you believe old blah, blah, blah passed away? I said, really? The one with the bug? I went online and looked. Sure enough, there was his obituary. And I don't know why he passed or how he passed. We weren't that close. I'm assuming an illness. Nobody said anything about getting shot or anything. And keep in mind, by this time, he was getting a little bit older. Still wasn't an old man by any stretch, but, you know, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to go to his funeral. Had a small service, you know. It was actually at the funeral home that God knows I've been to 10 damn times here in downtown this year. I'm on a first name basis with a damn guy at the desk now. Well, anyway, so we walk in and we sit down. I mean, I'm not family or close friends, so I just kind of sit at the back, you know, and, you know, the little preacher came up there and did his little spiel, and, you know, they had the casket open, you know, so just to paint you a picture, it's just a little cathedral, you know, and, you know, got a pulpit and, you know, right there, and of course, preacher's behind the podium and casket out front, casket's open. TVs are going in the background showing pictures, showed a picture of the bug, actually showed a picture of the vent trailer. It actually showed a picture of us at a car lot somebody snapped. And it was old, you gotta think about this is 2003-ish. I couldn't help but laugh. And it took all I could do to giggle, not to giggle out loud, and I still smirked, I'm sure. So they got done with the service, you know, and talked about how great a guy, good father he was and all that stuff. And I'm assuming his wife, and I recognized the kid that was with him was there, and now the kid's a little bit bigger, but they, you know, get ready to wheel him out and do the graveside. And that's a family thing, you know, like I said, I came by, you know, I did my thing. But they shut the casket. And I don't know, you guys had much dealings with caskets, and I hadn't until the last friggin' year or so, but caskets lock. And, you know, the guys at the funeral home, the little old men in their suits, you know, which is the most depressing job ever, working at a funeral home, has to be. But anyway, they were walking around, and, you know, they came and they had the spray, the flowers on top of the casket, and they they shut the casket and they slid that up, you know, and of course it's on like a little rolling, fancy looking cart thing. But the little old man, if you watch them close, they'll pull a little something out of their pocket. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that's not gonna keep them locked up long. That's not gonna slow them down, you know, and I left with that. But I guess the moral of the story is, you know, on the road of life, we meet some really interesting characters. And, you know, a lot of people get pegged for doing bad things in the past, and that stays with them. To my knowledge, I mean, this guy could have robbed anything he wanted. He worked for all these places. And I've heard this guy get called a lot of things over the years. But a thief was never one of them. Goes to show you. Even a con man can have a heart, I guess. Guys, we'll catch you next time at Rabbit's Used Cars.